Hey, Tom here from the Run Testers, and welcome back to another episode of Points of Shoe, where we answer your questions on running shoes, tech, kit, that sort of stuff. In this episode, we talk about a load of things, from data on watches to our favourite running shoe brands, and if we do cross-training. So let's dive in and go through the questions. Evening, Mr. Harris Fry. How are you doing?
Hi. How are you? I'm very well.
Yeah, all right. Still haven't got doors in my house, but it's a work in progress.
You still in your old house for now, then?
Yeah, we're renovating. I say renovating. We're doing stuff to the new house before we move in. So
at least you told me you had an hour and a half trip to move a radiator from inside one house to another or something.
It's quite hard if you don't live in the place that you're doing up, because things get delivered at different times. You don't know when they get delivered. So every time, basically, I got a radiator that needed to be delivered. They just delivered it, just left it outside the house, and I just checked the tracking. It said it's outside your house, so I had to go and move it indoors. So I had to travel over for an hour and a half.
You're saying an unknown location in Sussex right now, there might be free radiators just lying around and stuff like that.
Possibly. I mean, I'm not sure anyone would want it, but from the packaging, it looks quite good.
Yeah. We've currently got...
It was a good radiator, though.
Nice. We've got our own problems here, which is we've got getting a bit of a patio in the back garden. And they started yesterday. Classic thing where they just didn't turn up the second day, obviously doing another job. Yeah. So they've just left a massive pile of sand outside my house, and it's rained quite a lot today, so I guess they'll have less sand than they left it with. So
Yeah. Well, that sounds positive. Yeah, good.
Yeah, really strong stuff. But anyway, yeah, be a good patio for... it means, this is actually quite important, because it means throughout the winter months, when I couldn't film on my lawn shoe cutaways, I'll now be able to do it in my back garden instead of on the street outside my house, which has earned me a bit of a rep as a local loon who's filming his shoes.
Well, that's all I've ever been able to do. Now I'm going to have a garden. I'm going to be all in on.
It's nice, but you need a bit of patio, because if you're relying on grass, I don't know, it just floods here all the time. So
all I've got is patio, decking and patio.
Perfect.
Yeah,
you'll never have to leave the house again.
Absolute dream. Your laps around it. Right, should we do some questions?
Well, we've got a lot.
Yeah, I've got a lot. So thanks for everyone who messaged in and with a question. We've got some very good ones this time.
Yes. We always have very good ones, Tom.
We always have very good ones, but we've got a lot of short and easy ones to discuss instead of detailed ones that are quite complicated to...
Yeah, Instagram, I think, is good for that. It encourages short questions, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to randomly go through and pick some of the ones that we've got that are good.
Are any of them your friends just abusing you like last time, or?
I've had no abuse at all this time, which is odd.
That is a shame.
It is a shame, yeah. Maybe next time. All right, let's start with a nice, easy one. Fortnite Bot. Okay. It says best running shoes for 10K.
For racing, I assume.
I assume so, yeah.
Asics Metaspeed Sky Paris.
Okay, good choice.
Your favourite carbon shoe would be your best shoe for 10K, I'd
say. Pretty much, yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily feel the need to go and get a low profile one, but the Asics is lighter than all of the low profile ones like the Takumi Sen anyway. But Takumi Sen is good for 10Ks, but I'd rather be in the Asics.
Yeah, it's a bit different. If you did this 8 years ago, you'd probably be a bit easier to say this is a good shoe for 10K, because some of the bigger, clumpier, bouncy marathon shoes might not be very good for it. But now it's much of a muchness, isn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't buy a specific shoe for a 10K. Probably just use your general racer, unless you're only doing 5 and 10K. Then weight would come into occasion. Then the Asics, the Vaporfly are both very lightweight shoes.
If you are a runner that is very, very fast and you're trying to get marginal gains all the time, then there probably is some benefit to really going for a lighter shoe. But not. Yeah.
Twisty courses, some of the Pumas come into play because the grip is so good. But general straight line 10K, throw on your carbon shoe.
Yeah, okay. So not just any carbon shoe then that you like. Okay, so this is a really good one, quite a difficult one. If you could be, this is Mephisto, if you could be sponsored by any running brand and therefore receive free apparel and shoes, but it means you can't wear any other brand ever, who would you choose and why?
It's a good question. Like, I'm pretty dominated by the wanting my favourite racing shoe. But so that would, I'll make do with substandard trainers compared to other brands if I think I've got my favourite racer. But actually, in general, I really like Asics' clothing as well. So I probably would say Asics. I think they've got the best rotation available at the moment of any brand, I'd say. Loads of good cushy shoes, really nice, versatile daily trainers, my current favorite racing shoe, and I've always found their clothing has a good fit for gangling, Langsters like myself. So I've even got a couple of pairs of shorts with loads of pockets for the marathon, which I'll obviously need to carry all my drinks. So I'd probably say Asics right now. How about you, Tom?
It's a tough one because it does largely come down to the shoes, doesn't it? If it could have the best clothes in the world, but if you don't like the shoes, then you're not going to pick it. I think it's a tricky one because I would go. Well, Saucony would be my shoe go-to one, I think, for shoes. But I don't think I've got any Saucony kit that I really wear very often. So I'd probably say Nike.
Nike,
just because I really like the kit and it fits me really well, and I've got lots of nice Nike stuff, and I'm running the Alphafly ones more than any other shoe.
So Hoka right now has got some lovely clobber, really nice bright colours and that. So that would be tempting as well. So I do like their shoes a lot as well, but. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's not too many I would be gutted to be. I'd happily take most of the shoes and most of the gear.
Yeah,
no problem. I think these days that's the big difference. A few years ago, you just have to say Nike because they obviously had the best racing shoe by a mile. But now it's all quite even, unless you end up. I wouldn't want to be sponsored by Under Armour, for example. I don't want to use their racing shoe or their training shoes that much. Although their gear is quite nice.
Yes, yeah. It's a tricky one, and a long time ago, it's a long time, 5 years, 10 years ago. It'd be pretty easy to pick based on clothing and stuff because not many were doing really cool clothing. It was pretty general.
They have added it in, yeah. Supposed to be even Hoka never even did clothes before, and now they've got quite a nice range.
Yeah, I remember when they had, on the site they had one hat and one T-shirt.
Glory to all you need.
Well, yeah.
Run around bottomless. Yeah. Under Armour make the best boxers. Actually, that's a strong point for Under Armour. Is that
they do? That's true.
If you're going to that level, I'm not sure many of these running brands even make boxers, Tom. So suddenly it's commando every run, And I do like even under a pair of shorts with a liner, I usually still wear boxers.
I never do. I basically don't wear shorts that don't have liners in these days.
Yeah. I just find I prefer. That's probably a question that will come up on the channel sometime. Do you wear underwear under running shorts?
That has come up before. It came up about a year ago.
Yeah, depends on the shorts, but mostly I still do.
Okay, here's a good one from the YouTube ones. That people just seem to have automatically generated names, just numbers and letters. So I'm not even going to read out that one. What are your thoughts on the importance of data from running watches and other devices for training? Is there an argument for less data or metrics? What does a runner absolutely need?
So I would never say there's an argument for less data because I find it very easy to ignore data that I don't need on watches. I know some people struggle with that. If they know it's there, they'll be checking on it and using it. But I think always more data because if that's useful to someone, great. I'll just ignore it if it's not useful to me. In terms of the actual essentials for me, I would say the most important stats for me are accurate pacing stats. So lap pace, basically. If I just had lap pace on the watch, I'd probably make do because I have a plan from a coach and everything like that, and I know what easy effort feels like. But I do think, that's the thing. Heart rate on watches is useful, but not if it's from the watch because I don't really think it's very accurate. So, but yeah, some judge of intensity is definitely useful. I think for lots of people, especially new runners. But I wouldn't be going completely nuts on it. But then some people will, and they'll use it. Some people use power from watches, and it judges everything they do. But I don't know. I certainly don't think there's an argument for less data because you can just turn it off very easily.
Yeah. Well, I'm not massive. I'd probably use the bare minimum. I've got a Garmin Fenix 7 Pro, so I do get a lot of data, but I tend to use the standard things that most people use. I suppose it's not necessarily an argument for less data because I think the data is important. It's how the data is used. So I do think there's a lot of watches that use the data just to show that they've got the data, and then you look at it and you think, well, what do I do with that?
It's also there's definitely a move to have all this data out there to try and help you. So that's in runs. Outside of runs, I will look at things like the readiness stat and stuff like that, and I take it in, and I even look at the hill and the endurance score on the Garmin. I don't really care about them, but if you see a trend in the right direction, I think it's quite interesting sometimes. But you got to make sure that you're not relying on things that are based on dodgy heart rate data more often than not and stuff like that. So that's sometimes the big issue with it. You've got to get good data in to get good data out. So I would never live and die by any of the stats on the watch apart from pace during a workout because I haven't got any other measure of that pace. It's very hard. I can't tell if I'm running a 318k or a 321k without the watch. So that's probably the most important stat. But I would say the moment you are checking data to the point where you feel a little bit stressed by it, I would hide the widget or hide the data on your watch immediately because it's not worth it. I think it's all going to be used with a pinch of salt and looking at trends and all that kind of thing rather than hard numbers, because we're all amateurs here for the most part, and it shouldn't be taking away anything from your enjoyment of the sport.
No, I do think it's. I mean, I can't believe. I think it might have been Andy from the Running Channel was talking about how when he used to train in his early days, they obviously didn't have GPS watches that they were using for runs and stuff. So he did it all based on time.
Yeah.
And it was never that accurate, but obviously it worked quite well for him in his training. But I would say that I suppose it's different for different people. There's probably some data that some people would find useful, others don't find useful. There's an argument for some data being useful from a purely motivational way, like Strava, just seeing your numbers go up and things like that. But I think for most people there's a fairly clear set of data that is going to be really useful for your runs, which is like how far you've ran on GPS, what your pace is over that.
Yeah. I suppose I feel like running this boom now. There's a lot more people running really hard solo and without things like track sessions. And I think in the past, like for example, when Andy was running, it would have been like, 5 sessions a week, which is not on time, but the key ones are on the track, and you know exactly how far you run, and it just doesn't matter. So, but you're with the running club 3 times a week and you're doing hill reps, and some guy knows a hill that's the right length, and they know the rough length of the route, or some guy's got a wheel and measured it. But if you're out by yourself training hard, like I did during COVID, everything was done. All my sessions had to be done on the road. I was finding certain road loops and things like that. The watch became really important for pacing all those kind of things because you had no other way to do it. But I definitely think, like, so for example, sometimes in marathon training, I'll get 2 into my total mileage, and it will be on my watch face. Data down. I would look down on it, and I'll be go, normally at this point in the week I'm at this mileage, and at which point I take it off my watch face because that's stupid to think about that. So I think you're just going to catch yourself with a lot of this data and be quite mentally aware of what you're using correctly and what's not helping you.
Yeah, and we're going into quite a lot of depth for this one. Yeah. I'd also say that I think that there's some things that you get on a watch which a seasoned runner won't care that much about, but it's quite good for a beginner runner that are quite complicated data sets. So things like the training readiness and stuff like that, I don't really use anymore because I generally know my training readiness. Yeah. But for somebody who's new to it, that might be quite an important way to go, I didn't realise after doing 2 runs a week, my training readiness is going to go down more than... Yeah,
the overall training load analysis is pretty good on these. So you can see, I think if you're starting running from scratch and you've got the watch or, you're coming into it, it will give you... If people don't like all these things like it says overreaching or unproductive, but as long as you're getting accurate heart rate data in, that will probably be a fairly accurate representation that maybe you're doing a bit much at the moment. But again, those kind of people probably are using the optical heart rate monitor, which might just be saying that they're working harder than they actually are. So that's why I don't like optical heart rate monitors. I almost wish they didn't have them on watches and they just came with an armband. But then the rest of the day, they are very useful for like tracking sleep and tracking resting. If you want to track your heart rate throughout the day, which everyone does want to these days, then you've got to have both.
Okay. Here's one that I particularly like from Julian Ramirez. How do you find running with a camera or filming when you make your run test videos? Is it artificial or do you get used to holding one?
I don't like it. It's a pain. I don't do much talking to camera on the run, very rarely. But I just use my phone on a selfie stick. I'm quite low tech because and I don't do things. I used to occasionally put it down and run past it, but it's just too hard to fit that in. I'm always under the gun with time and stuff. So basically, occasionally I just stick my phone and get a shot of the shoes on the move. But I don't really do much filming on the run otherwise. But Tom, Tom's got all the action cameras and upgrades all the time, so he does this quite well. Yeah.
I've got like GoPros, Insta360s, a drone. I used to do some videos where I would put a lot of effort into it and set it up and go out just purely on the idea that I'm going to go and get some nice shots. My days of being a wannabe content creator like that have gone. So basically I do, it's tricky when I'm training for a marathon and I'm going out for a run, much like probably you, Nick, you're just going to go that you're going to do that run, you don't want to be stopping for 5 minutes to get shot. It just takes too much time. And it is quite annoying going out to do like a hard interval session or a long run, carrying a GoPro or whatever in your hand. Exactly, it's a bit frustrating. So a lot of mine are artificial now. I tend to do them around my house if I want to get shots of the shoe running around, unless I'm actively going out for like trail runs. I will take the GoPro out because obviously I've got a trail next to my house that I can do shots on. So I do use it for that. I hardly ever use my Insta360 anymore just because it's too much hassle editing it afterwards. So yeah, interestingly, when we interviewed Kafusi on the channel, so Kafusi always takes one with him, regardless of whether he's planning on filming something or not, because he always says that because he's a content creator, like he's great at filming and he's great at editing and stuff like that. So he's always got one on him because he says something always happens on a run, or quite often happens on a run, where he goes, I wish I had a camera with me to capture a shot where I was running past that thing or something like that.
Yeah.
But listeners, if you've seen Kafusi videos, you might notice that they're probably a little bit more chiseled than our videos.
I'd say everything about my setup is to minimize the hassle as much as possible. So that's why I use an iPhone, so I can airdrop it to my computer, and it's quite small video sizes. It doesn't take hours to transfer. And so I'll have a selfie stick. I'll just tuck down my shorts. And at some point on a run when I feel like it's nice and quiet, there's no one around me, I will put the phone into that. And I don't stop at any point to get it out or anything like that. It's all part of the same run. There's no stopping at all. So it does save a lot of time. The sacrifice is obviously quality of video, but I think as a reviews channel, our argument is more that the quality is the content rather than how it looks necessarily.
I do try and catch, if I specifically talk about something about the shoe, like if I'm saying that the heel is really soft or something, I will try and make sure I capture that in slow motion so you can sort of see it in the shots. I used to do it a lot harder. Like I used to go up and set up the camera and run past it a few times and stuff, but yeah, in fact, because I'm not training hard at the moment, I'm probably more likely to do some more of those things. And next to my new house, there's like a nice trail and stuff, so I can actually go out and do a nice bit of filming. Whereas where I am now, it's quite hard. I mean, I live in Brighton; it's busy all the time, so just filming.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Out on the run, people it's like kids' parks and stuff, so you got to put it away. It's just annoying carrying around.
Sometimes I get a few more nice shots on the track actually, because usually I have a friend there who doesn't do my whole session and who does like bits of it at faster pace and stuff like that, and I'll give him my phone and he'll film me when I'm in the middle of a rep. So it's not artificial. Yeah. I also look horrendous on the run, so I don't like to see too many shots of me running because I have, I'm not a gainly chap, that's for sure. So there's no one needs to see that.
A lot of people said that. Yeah. Well, my tracks. I've left the running club now, but my track. The only times you could use it, there was basically like 100 kids training on it as well. So I could never take it to the track then.
No,
which I always wanted to film on a track. I'd even take the drone down or something, but I've never found a track that I could do it on.
I go on Instagram and you see like one of the content creators talking about the new drone. Like, I'd love to have that. Well, it follows you and films. I go, you would never use it, Nick. You'd use it, and you'd be so annoyed at how long it took you to get the video off the thing or keeping it there, and how you had to actually stop on a run to set up. So yeah, mine is. Making a video should add as little time to my day as possible because I just don't have the time, basically. Yeah,
I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? We are runners reviewing running shoes over creating amazing content that looks beautiful.
Yes. No one's going to say the videos look beautiful. Some of yours look quite nice, Tom. Tom has actual real cameras and like not just the GoPro ones, whereas mine is. You can tell by mine because when in the winter I have to film a video at night, you basically can't see me because the phone camera is not good enough to get the content.
Yeah. Well, so when some of us, not me, use record and there's no slow mo on the camera and you can't actually see the shoes because you're running too quickly.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
I don't like slow mo because then the file sizes get too big.
Yeah, well,
the action mode is a big change actually for me because I didn't realize how much better. Only when I had that on the iPhone did I realize how much clearer those shots of me running are compared to when I just use the camera in normal mode.
Yeah.
So the action mode has been a big plus.
Nice, yeah. Well, I have actually been looking at that that drone that follows you.
Of course,
quite expensive though. Another thing for me to buy that goes in a drawer for.
Have a couple of kids. We'll stop doing that.
Yeah.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Granger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
All right, let's do another one. This should be a pretty easy one. Do you guys ever wear barefoot-style shoes to alter the stresses on your legs and feet?
No.
No, I don't either.
No. We have quite a wide variety of different drops and stuff like that, and I am not someone who feels the need to run barefoot at all. I people are into that. That's great, but it's a very different thing, and it's not. As a high mileage runner, fairly high mileage runner, to suddenly swap into them would just be asking for an injury. So
no, I can't run in. Ultra. Even those they're zero drop, but they're not barefoot, and even then, the zero drop ones I struggle to run in for a longer period of time.
Yeah, like testing even the Under Armour actually, which says 8mm. The new Floss is not 8mm drop; it's a very low drop. And I jogging back from a session, I thought I should have swapped shoes. The session's fine in them. I don't mind being in a low drop shoe for a session, but I would. The force going through your body and running is quite high. Even on the forest near me, I would only do a very short run if I ever did in a barefoot style shoe. But Mike used to run in them a lot.
Yeah. Mike didn't run in them for the purposes of strengthening his feet, though, did he? He just preferred them. He basically started his running.
Yeah, he just started
life in barefoot. Yeah,
and now they got all these cushy shoes to test, and he hasn't gone back.
Can't go back to them.
Can't go back.
Okay, this is one not about shoes, but about training. So cross training. Do you do it? What do you do? How much do you do? Do you enjoy it?
I am not brilliant. I'm very good at. I do yoga, runners yoga a lot. We talked about it before. The session I do 2 or 3 times a week. I will do a lot of calf raises every day. Pretty much, I do 3 sets of 10 calf raises on each leg, and then do that twice with different bent leg, straight leg. But I'm trying to do a bit more strength training. I spoke to a really interesting physio about this actually for an article. He says you can get similar benefits with strength training, doing one big session, as traditional strength training, which is what I'm sure Tom will come on to that, by doing doses of exercise before and after a run. When you're already changed, you're willing to do some exercise. If you do some, whatever, squats, that kind of thing, then you can actually get pretty big benefits from it. So I'm just going to try and do that this year. But even then, that's the thing I lost in the time crunch. So I do a bit of core training, I do yoga, and I don't do enough of the other stuff. Tom is very good at cross training.
Well, not. Sometimes I am. Cross training. There's obviously loads of different ways you can do cross training. I didn't do anything like cycling or anything. I used to do cycling, and
yeah, I like cycling. Actually, I do cycle indoors. If I'm doing lower mileage for any reason, I will cycle indoors as well.
Yeah. I used to do cycling. I used to do loads of HIIT classes and all those sorts of things. I've stopped as I've got older.
This is why Tom is called the all-rounder fitness. If you ever wonder why his social media tag is that, it's because he used to do everything. That's how I met Tom, actually. Was at a fitness class, I think, wasn't it? Like Lululemon or something? Yeah.
Used to do all sorts of that, CrossFit, all sorts of things. Now, I still very much go to the gym 3 times a week. I'd probably say I'm a bit bad at the moment of doing legs, but I do try and put it in. But I generally...
It's what the glamour muscles, do you?
Well, the problem is that getting older now, and I find it when I do legs, I am out of action for a couple of days.
Yeah,
and it makes it really hard to run. And I can't do legs during marathon training just because you're doing 6 days training a week, and it does massively affect me. Like if I go and do a hard leg session and then I've got an interval session or something.
If you never manage to get over the hump of because you should be able to get used to that, right, and not get the DOMs by doing enough of it. Like obviously pro athletes are doing horrible strength sessions all the time, and they say to do it on your hard run day so you get a full recovery another day. Yeah. The idea of going and doing some weights after a hard session is really hard.
Yeah.
I do a lot of walking just in life, and that does add up a bit,
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But So, but I would say I think my view on the lower legs. I do loads of upper body stuff, and actually, upper body stuff is not. People don't think of it as a cross training, but it's quite important to build your upper body as well. So, because it's
minor importance.
Well, yeah,
arm swing, core. You need your
core, but a lot of the stuff you do upper body is going to help your core. So
exactly.
Pull-ups and stuff like that is actually having a nice effect on the rest of your body. And you do get a lot of runners, especially you get older, who have back pain and stuff like that because they've got quite weak upper bodies and cores, and they've only really done running.
Well, now, especially now we're both over 35. I will do a bit of upper body just because I don't. In general, you need to stop muscle wastage.
Yes,
that means I'll throw down and do some press ups. And because I don't weigh very much, I can do some press ups. It's great.
Okay.
But we should. I'd like. I'm going to try this. The idea is, when I start going again, it's always a time thing. I'm always running out the door to do my run and fit it in. And it's like, I could just do 3 quick sets of squats here, but I also don't have very heavy weights at home. So, I end up have to do them fast or trying to do them almost plyometrically to try and actually get enough of an impact. Because talking to this guy is very interesting. It's like most runners do strength training wrong. He says basically they do long endurance style sets with low weights, which simulates running. That's not helpful at all. You need to be doing like close to your rep max, short sets, and
you want a bit of strength, a bit of Jesus Christ,
hypertrophy.
You want a bit of that because obviously that's going to have the benefits for the injury prevention and also speed and power and all those sorts of things that do become quite important.
The classic runners thing is to say, I'll do some hills. That's my strength training for the week. And I asked this physio. He's very good. Actually, he's got an app called Running Buddy. It's a really good app, which is strength training specifically for runners. And it's like a paid app. He's a physio, but so he's really well done. Everything's really well done. I spoke to him for a really interview. He's a really interesting guy. And but he says, I asked him, that's all right. I go on the trails and do hills. He goes, runners. It is, in a certain way. If you're doing an actual sprint on a hill, it is a similar thing, but it has to be actually sprinting, and it is be a lot easier to go and do some strength work.
Okay, let's finish with a fun one. So, running goals. What are your goals for 2024? I.e., any race goals, mileage goals? Will Kieran be releasing his book on running the Danube?
I know about that book. We asked him about the book. He did a really long article in Runner's World.
Yeah.
We should follow up and see if he's actually going to do a book, because a lot of work a book, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he's heading back out there, isn't he? So maybe he's gone to
2-part book. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know about Kieran's, but Kieran's goals are Conrad's up leg, and I think he's going back to the Berlin 100 mile because he finished last year because his toe shed its skin or something. So let's do that. I've got Valencia Marathon at the end of the year, and I'm going to goal for the summer is 10k and half marathon PBs. Which I haven't touched for a while. I need to have a good go at. So going to do high mile, keep up hopefully the high mileage I did for the London Marathon, and add more speed. And then Valencia, I'll have another go at a marathon PB. Although, to be honest, I am more or less content with my marathon PB for life at this point. Like, as soon as
you say that now,
I'll go for a PB, but at the end of the day, when I'm at 90, if I live that long, I'm not going to look back and go 226, 227. I'm not going to be that fast unless I suddenly take off another 5 minutes. That'd be nice, but it seems unlikely.
Yeah. Well, I've got Valencia as well.
Yeah.
To be honest, I've only got. Normally, I have a series. I've got some of the races up, but at the moment, I've just basically haven't, because now I've got this house and everything. I'm just sort of focused on that, so I'm not that bothered about
big Sussex League events. I'm doing a couple of Essex League events to try and do PBs and also try and nab an Essex medal. But
well, I'm gonna start. I'm going to spend the next 2 months sorting the house out and just comfortably running around the downs around the new pad.
Trail runner.
I'm testing a load more trail shoes. But then also I'm going to start training in August for Valencia, and I'd like to get about 250. That would be my aim.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, you messed around the start of this year doing too many marathons and having.
Yeah, I'm just not going to train for spring marathons anymore.
You really hated it, didn't you?
I hated it. Yeah,
it might be sad you're not in Brighton.
Yeah, well, it might be worse because it's like it's going to be country roads and stuff. So I just don't know what.
It's going to be dark the whole. You're going to get hit by a car. If you get a track, is there a track where you go?
No, there's no track. There is a track in Lewis which I can drive to, which the running club goes to, but it's not that convenient. So we'll see. I just need to find like an industrial estate, don't I, and just train on that.
Yeah,
I think there's one.
Don't get those in small towns. But it comes to a point though where one thing I did quite a lot for London, not that much, but it made an effort to. Okay, I've got a serious session. I'm going to drive. I'm going to take the hit and drive 10, 15 minutes to a place I know I can do this well. And I nailed every single session there. And it was like, you know what, this is worth it. Like, you know, it's going to cost you a bit of time, but if you plan it out so that time isn't affecting the family, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So finish with a quick one. Could you review some running apps like Runner and Cooper?
Training plans. That's hard for us because we both have coaches. You don't have any coach anymore, but Mike's done one, hasn't he?
Mike uses a Hal Higdon's one.
And Kieran used Cooper for...
Kieran did use Cooper. So I think Kieran, I can't remember, I think he said he might be doing a video on it or something, but maybe he's
he covered it. Obviously, he didn't use it entirely because he did run 3 marathons during training, which I have to imagine wasn't the app's recommendation.
Yeah, it's very difficult to review something like that because obviously it takes so long and you've got to get all the way through to the point where you see the benefits of all the training and everything. So
Yeah.
it's quite a big investment. But I think Mike did say he's going to do a video at some point on Hal Higdon. He's probably going to use that again because I think he's quite keen on that.
I've looked at all those apps, and they are pretty good. They're definitely going to make you fitter. I think if you get to a certain point where you're really serious and you've used them, for a couple of marathon or two, they're definitely what I would use if I was starting out before I got a coach. But at some point, if you get a good coach, it's a world of difference. Like, because they're so smart and they know how to keep you interested and they know what to do. And there's a bit more accountability with a coach compared to an app, obviously, as well. But I do think those apps are brilliant. If you're a driven person and you're also smart about it, and you're not like just following it blindly because the app doesn't know if you're feeling well that day, that kind of thing, then they would. Or everything I've seen from Cooper, Runner, most of these apps has been very positive. It will definitely work.
Yeah. I'm always quite jealous of people that can follow them because I need the coach to sort of know that I'm paying a coach and know that I've got to do those sessions. Otherwise, it's pointless me carrying on. Whereas with the I think the thing like with the Hal Higdon app, you can pay for the premium service, and it modifies the run based on if you can't do it one day or 2 days, it knows that and it will adjust the training plan. But I hated that because I knew that it would adjust it, whereas my coach would say, "Don't miss sessions." Unless you have to miss the sessions. It's not like, I just don't fancy it.
So I'll probably get the opposite from my coach because I'm always want to go out and run. So he stops me from doing too much and makes me rest at times and stuff. Yeah.
All right then. Well, I think that'll do for this episode.
Yeah, lovely. If your question wasn't answered, well, we've got another one coming because we had a good crop of questions. So we've got
plenty of questions to talk through. So there'll be another episode coming out very soon.
Catch you on the flippity flip, I guess.
This episode was presented by Tom Wheatley and Nick Harris-Fry. It was produced by Tom Wheatley. The music was by Fear of Tigers.